Welcome to Unfold Data Science. My name is Aman and I am a data scientist. In this video, we are going to understand how to create data for LLM fine tuning. So this is one of the topic again which is not given much weightage, but if you go to build production ready AI apps, a very important topic to know. Let's start without any delay. Here are the areas we are going to cover. First of all, we will understand what is the basics of what data you need. So basically you have to understand what is that you need to generate. Then we will understand data quality check framework that you should pass your data through. Then we will see what are the different varieties of data requirements. So basically depending on your use case. Then determining what to generate. So I'll explain you how to do this. And then data acquisition approaches. So can we acquire from some open sources or some paid, or we can generate by LLM. So various approaches are there. I will show you all that. And most important part, guys, complete data pipeline. Whatever you learned from here to here, how do you create a pipeline for generating the data, what you need for your model fine tuning. So one thing that you need to understand very, very clearly here is there is no shortage of data when a LLM is trained. Okay. So data is not less when LLM is trained, but still we are talking about generation of data. Why? Because only thing we need is we need a good data for fine tuning. That is our problem statement. Good data for fine tuning, FTI, I'll say. The first thing that should come to your mind is how to acquire that data, or how do you say that your data is good for your use case. The data should obviously be curated, which means chosen for your use case. So that data should be curated based on what you are trying to build. The data should be structured based on what is that you need. Suppose you want to build an app of chatbot, so the data should be in that structure which should help your chatbot to understand it better, right? And data should always be task specific, which means it should be aligned with your business objective. So the chatbot example I gave, right? You don't create any random data and throw it as your data for fine tuning. Most important thing you need to understand here is keep these in mind, and all these things are pointing to quality of data over quantity. Quality of data over quantity. Quantity is there in the original LLM training. Don't worry about quantity. You are creating data for fine tuning. You need to focus on quality more. More means very high as compared to quantity. So if you can provide nearly 1,000 good examples, 1,000 high quality data examples, right? That will easily outperform your 10,000 or 100,000 bad quality data fine-tuned model. Always focus on quality data, which should be chosen for your use case, means curated, which should be formatted like the way you want, and which should align with your tasks, whatever you want to do. Remember these things, these are the basics of what you need. Now let's take a step forward and try to understand how do you understand the framework through which you need to pass your data. So basically, if you having some background of database, you will know something known as ACID, ACID, ACID. So ACID is a common concept in the world of data or databases, right? So A stands for accuracy, C stands for consistency, I stands for integrity, and D stands for diversity. Whenever you are generating data, you need to keep in mind these ACID properties. To keep it very simple and plain, your data has to be factually correct. You cannot have any random data in your fine-tuning data. Your data should be uniformly distributed. So I will say uniform distribution. For example, you cannot have only male data in a employee engagement data or only female data in a employee engagement data. It should be uniform distributed. Data should be integrity should be there, which means data should be complete and valid. Half sentences, half words, half conversation is not useful for you. And then diversity means covers all types of use cases, covers all use cases. So for example, if I'm talking of Amazon, for example, and I'm trying to fine tune a chat model, then that should cover refund also, that should cover exchange also, that should cover customer complaint also. So basically covers all use cases. These are very high level understanding of what data you need and what do you check in data. Now I will take one more step forward and try to tell you. If you remember, I told you about the structure of data depends on what is the use case you are trying to solve, right? So what are some of the structures that you need? Suppose you are working on a use case where you need to do instruction fine tuning, right? IFT, I'm saying instruction fine tuning. So there the data requirements will look something like this. For example, there will be an instruction. Instruction could be like summarize this movie review, and then there will be an input. Input will be the review of the movie, and there will be an output. Output will be the basically summary of the review. So if you are doing instruction fine tuning, you need to have this format of data. So instruction this, input this, output this. Let's see one more format. For example, if you are doing a, let's say, domain specific, we have learned all these in our LLM for application development playlist. You can watch on YouTube. In domain specific, the data requirements might be something like, let's say I want to have a medical domain data, right? So medical domain data can be a question answer pair. For example, it can be a question or input, whatever you can call it, and it can be output. And this can be very, very specific to medical domain, right? So this can be one example of domain specific data. Suppose I want to train a conversational chatbot, right? So the data requirements will be different. Data requirements will be different. For example, here it can be role, user, content, some value here. Similarly, it could be role, assistant, and content, some value here. So I'm just trying to give you some view of you will need data in different structure for different use cases, right? Now, once you have a use case in place, and once you know that, okay, I need to create some data, I need to have some properties in that data and things like that, what you do is you move to the next step. And so first step is basically understanding the basics. So I need data, I need to check few things in the data. I may need data in the different format, right? In step two, right, what you will do is you will formalize whatever I'm trying to tell you guys based on my experience. There is no framework to create fine tuning data for LLM. This is my experience working with multiple projects. So you will determine what data you need. And in that, first of all, you will say, what is the task I'm trying to solve? Second, you will say, what is my input type? What is my output type? So I will give you one example you can relate. What is my input type? What is my output type? What is my domain? Then you will say what should be the tone of my fine-tuned data. And then you will say, can there be any constraints on the data that I am generating? So let's take one example. So task could be customer support, customer support chatbot. This is the task and we need some good data for this task. So what could be the input? Input could be customer questions. Customer questions. What could be the output? Output could be helpful responses. Helpful response. What could be the domain? Domain could be, for example, e-commerce. All this is formalizing, documenting what you need. What tone you expect? Friendly and professional. Friendly and professional. What constraints you need? Constraints you can have like no PII. I'm saying no uh, personally identifiable information. And then uh, we can say escalation constraints or any other constraints that you want to put, right? So you can put here constraints. That is, here what you are doing is you are determining your data needs. So I can just write here determining data needs. That is what you are doing. Determining data needs. So now you know that this is what I need to create. What you can do next is you can start thinking, where are the places where I can get this data? So step 3 will be, let's say, data acquisition. So I will say yes, step 3, data acquisition. So where you will go and find this data? Now we will have to go to Python, but before that, I will tell you a few things you need to understand. First source that you can get for your data or where data is already there is Hugging Face open source data. Okay, so I will say Hugging Face open source data. I will show you in Python now. This is again a data you can take and you can use it, not a problem. And data for different categories are there. I'll show you a couple of categories now. For example, I was talking about instruction fine tuning or conversation or domain specific, right? So different types of data you can get from Hugging Face open source data. You can import it in Jupyter directly. Second thing what you can do is you can do a ethical. Remember, there is a lot of concern here on how people are doing the web scraping, but I'm telling you this option is open for you if you can do ethical web scraping. I will show you this example, but not from the web, from the local, but the funda remains same. I will show you now. Third and more used is LLM assisted generation. There are different flavors of this. One flavor could be you create a template and give it to LLM to generate. Other flavor could be you don't create template, you let LLM do the job for you. Obviously, the inference cost is higher in that scenario, but there are 2 or 3 flavors in which you can use LLM. I'll show you now this as well. And another option that you can explore later is marketplace. So there are websites or there are portals which sell good quality fine tuning data. So many people are doing that. I mean, purchasing who don't have a budget constraint, etc. So let's go to Python and try to see all these categories. And in the end, as I told you, we will be building a complete pipeline and I will show you how it will work, right? So I'm sharing my Visual Studio here. First thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how you can get some data from Hugging Face, basically data. So let's go here and I'm pasting a code from datasets, import dataset. Let me run this. It will keep running in background. So datasets is the library I'm taking and this is the data. If you go to Google and search, this is the data on Hugging Face basically. You can simply go and search this. I'm taking 1,000 samples and if you see here, I'm formatting it into instruction. Okay, if example input, then instruction, and then response, and then output. This format I'm creating because I need data in this format. So let me show you this formatted. Okay, it is asking for. Let me try to. Let me try to run this. Then I will show you how the data is looking like after I do the formatting of um, instruction, input, and response basically. So formatted samples is not defined. Okay, let me run this again. Okay, so as you can see here, formatted sample instruction is there, and then input is there, and then output is there. Let me try to show you in a little better format. For that, I need to import a package called pprint. Okay, so I'm importing this pprint package. and then I will show you how the data is looking like. So pprint.print, if you do, right, it will show you a better format. So instruction, give 3 tips for staying healthy. Response, this is the response. Instruction, response. And sometimes you will see instruction, response, instruction, response. So basically what I'm doing, I'm simply, if you see here, right, from the example I'm taking and I'm putting it into different format. So example input, example output. So like that I'm preparing the example. So here I'm taking 1,000 examples. You can take more. And what kind of use case you can use this for? You can simply let me know in comment. There is an instruction, and at some places you will see input as well. So some places you will see instruction and response, but some places you will see instruction, then a input, then a response. Instruction, input, response, like that also you will see in this. So tell me in comment for which use case this is useful. So this is one of the example, and that is, let me tell you the answer also. This is instruction dataset. So when you are doing instruction fine tuning, right, that is when you will need that kind of data. Suppose you are doing a conversation, you are needing a conversation kind of data. What you can do is, there is a data set called daily dialogue. You can take that daily dialogue from again Hugging Face, and let me try to show you how daily dialogue looks like. So again pprint I'm printing, and if you see here, there is human, and then there is assistant, then there is human, then there is assistant, human, assistant, human, assistant. So what is this data? This is conversational data. This is conversational data. So every time you want to use this data for some chatbot fine tuning, etc., this data will be useful for you. So first one was for instruction fine tuning. Second one is more for conversational data, conversation fine tuning. And this is how you can create. So 2 examples of Hugging Face. Let's see one more example where we will do a domain specific data. So for example, this data, right? Again from Hugging Face data, and this is a medical data. So if you want to do a domain specific fine tuning, so here if you see, right, question, this is medical question, and this is answer, medical question, and this is answer, medical question, and this is answer. So what you can do is you can use this data for domain specific kind of training. So 3 examples: instruction fine tuning, domain specific fine tuning, and conversational kind of data. I showed you. Go to Hugging Face, explore more data. This is just one of the way, right? Now one interesting way I want to show you, and that interesting way is basically, if I have to generate some data from LLM, right? How can I do that? So let me try to show you some details around that. But before that, I also want to show you one more thing. On my desktop, right, I have created a file, and that file is an HTML file. So that HTML file I can scrap. So basically what I have done is I'm pasting a code here, an example from local machine. In my local machine, let me open file for you. Open file, desktop, Aman test. Okay, this is my file. So see here, this is my HTML file. You can think this file as a HTML file on any of the website, right? On that website, there will be some FAQs. So in my dummy file, there are some FAQs here. Okay. What I want to do is I want to scrap this website, for example, and I want to get the information on all these FAQs for my fine tuning. So if you come here, right, that is what I'm doing. I'm using Beautiful Soap. I'm going there. I'm opening FAQ section, FAQ answer. So basically based on which is my target page, this target page will change obviously based on where you are searching, and the way little bit will change. Question and answer text I am taking, and I'm preparing instruction, output, and source. That's it. So question goes in instruction, answer goes in output, and my data will be ready. So see here, whatever is there in my file, right, in terms of question and answer is instruction and output. Instruction and output. This is an example of what you call as an web scraping. This you have to do ethically from the internet. You can't do it like randomly, blindly, but I just showed you one example of how you can do it a web scraping way as well. All these are important. All these you will need some or other point in your career. The next one I want to show you is an interesting one. How you can generate using a LLM. So basically LLM assisted generation. Now here I'm taking my grok key, nothing fancy here, just my grok key stored in .env file. If you see here, I'm saying synthetic data generator. So I will be generating some synthetic data. I'm initializing my grok. It will take, this is my grok model. And then if you see, I'm defining a template here. Okay. I'll share this file with you. Keep this with you. Keep changing things and trying. So self templates is the template I'm defining. Order inquiry. Where is my order? Can you track order? Order status. What is the basically it will take order and it is order ID and it is generating 5 different questions. Return request taking product ID and 5 different variants of return on that. Technical support taking some device and software as a basically question and generating a sentence. Here I'm having some variables in product, order, device, software, error code. What I will do is I will generate 10 examples by randomly picking one from each category. So for example, if you say right, for I in range random.choice templates. And what is template? Self.template get category. So with category we will call it, but a random.choice we are taking it from templates. And then here variables will be coming. Here we will generate response. If you see here, right? And then we will prepare the example. So in the examples, my instruction output pair will come. Instruction output, this pair will come. Now let's see the generate response category. So generate response will be called with a question and a category. So if category is order inquiry, then system prompt will be this. If category is return request, then system prompt will be this, right? And if category is technical support, then system prompt will be this. Else system prompt will be this. So we need two things. One is system prompt, one is user prompt or prompt text. This is system prompt that will come from the category that you supply, and prompt text will be generated from the question that you supply. So we will have two things, system prompt and prompt text. Now what we will do is we will call the model using system prompt and prompt text. And we will give the temperature, etc. these things. Exception. We will initialize a class of synthetic data generator. And I'm saying generator.generate examples, order inquiry 3. So for order inquiry, generate 3 examples. So what will happen when generate examples will be called? Let's see. When generate examples will be called, right? It will be called with that category. In that category, it will go and prepare this. It will prepare this template. Using this template, right? If you see here, it is calling generate response. And this generate response will be called using that template and category. So it will have a template, it will have a category. Both the things will go here and you will get the response. So we are generating 3 from order inquiry, 3 from return request, sorry, 2 and 2 from technical support. So I'm using my Grok API key here. I'm using LLM. Let's see what happens. So see here, generating 3 examples for order inquiry. Llama model it is using, Llama 3.8 billion. When will be my order delivered? This is output. Okay. Can you track order this? This is output. Order related. Generating 2 examples of return related. Okay. So one example is thank you for reaching out, technical support. So some output is truncated, but you know the what is happening here, right? You understand the core of it. So that is this thing. Through LLM you are generating. Now I'm generating less, you can generate more obviously. So instruction is my laptop is not turning on. Output, thank you for reaching out technical support. This is this, whatever. So you are able to generate using LLM now. There is one more thing you should aware here. If you pay attention to this code, right? I'm giving lot of instructions here. So I'm preparing the template. I'm telling how to generate. So basically, if you see here, right? Messages completely I'm preparing and I'm saying this is my system prompt and this is my prompt text. Please give me the examples like that. You can do one more thing. What you can do is you can let LLM decide what to do and give less information. So something like this. For example, I'm saying this is another approach for synthetic data. Here you can give some requirements. For example, in your prompts, right? You can say maintain same task, vary the language, include edge cases, keep response factually correct. You can have a output format. You can have fields what you want. So many things you can add and you can make LLM work like how you want it to work basically, right? So I mean to say bit of prompt engineering there, and then you are going to get data, more data. One more thing I want you to focus on is marketplace. So please go ahead and you can do little research on Scale AI, which is a professional annotation service, Appen, that is a crowdsourced data labeling, Lionbridge for enterprise data solution. There are many actually. If you search, you will get, but these guys are marketplace to give you the right data. Okay. So what we have explored till now, we have explored Hugging Face open source data from this list. I told you how to do web scraping using a local example. I told you different ways of LLM assisted generation and marketplace as well. Now we have a lot of idea on what is that we are trying to do and what is that we are trying to check. So let's go ahead and build a end-to-end data generation pipeline. So when I say end-to-end data generation pipeline, what should happen? If you want, you can comment, you can pause this video and comment. First of all, data acquisition should happen. Then data cleaning should happen because you will be using this data for fine tuning. It has to be premium quality, top quality. Then quality validation should happen. Quality validation should happen. Then there is one important thing because you are doing model fine tuning, right? Bias detection should happen. And another layer of security because we are not generating many data sets in fine tuning normally. If possible, have a human validation as well. And then you can export the data and this data you can use for fine tuning. Export in whatever format you want basically. And data augmentation is another thing that we can put in between, but that is optional. And I also don't want to overload you with a lot of things. So let's see how to build this pipeline. Let's see that. Okay. I'm going to paste a code now, which will look big, but it's not because we will go step by step. Here to here, you are clear. Package import, Grok API key import. Synthetic data generation, same way. I'm preparing templates. I have generated examples and I have a get grok response. So more or less same thing that we have done before. After we generate the data, now I will pass it through a layer of cleaner. So if you can see here, there is a data cleaner class. And here I have different methods. First method is basically uh, remove duplicates, then filter invalid, then clean test, then remove pi. All these are my clean methods basically. So remove duplicates will remove the duplicates. Filter invalid will see if there is something which is not valid as per the format, it will remove that. then is nonsensical. It will just see few things, it will compare, and it will see if it is not making sense. It will give an alarm or report that. Then clean text, it will clean the text if some space is there or some unwanted character is there, right? That it will clean. And then clean special characters is there. Remove personal identifiable information is there, which means email and phone number, etc. will be removed. So once you pass your data through this, you are going to get a cleaned data. Okay, so here I'm calling that safe data. Basically clean data you are going to get. That is layer 1. In layer 2, we are going to check the quality. And to check the quality, what we are going to do, we are going to take the quality threshold. For example, here minimum input length, maximum input length, output length, maximum, minimum, diversity score, you can put it. Then validate your data on those things. Okay, check duplicates again, check diversity, check consistency. So there are different things that is getting checked. Completeness, and you will get a report after all that thing is done. Then I'm adding a bias detector here. In bias detector, I'm saying gender, male. So he, his, man will be identified by male. She, her, women will be identified by female. Black, black, white, white. I'm saying over representation threshold is 0.6. So if something is more than 60%, that will be called as an over representation. If something is less than 5%, that will be called as an under representation. So it is very important for us to know if my data is biased. What this class will do, this class will pass the data from that, and it will give you a report that if there is a bias in the data, right? So you can read about these functions later, but this is what it will do. And then human validation interface is another layer where we will go and we will give user 3 options. User can approve A or reject or feedback or queue. Okay, so here what we can do is basically return. So what you can do here is uh, there will be a user which will be giving getting an option of do all these things. So if user presses A button, then it will be appended. If reject button, then it will be rejected. Okay, if user presses F button, then feedback, and there is a Q button as well. It will just give the review summary, right? So this is the last layer for user interface. And then once this entire pipeline runs, we are going to get a complete report of how many is approved, how many is rejected, how many is reviewed, flagged, approval rate, common issues, right? So what we are going to do is we are going to again go into the main class, initialize grok. First of all, generate data, because that is what will pass through all this. Then add a few bad examples knowingly, pass through cleaner, pass through quality validator, pass through bias detector, pass through human validator, and in the end, print the report. So let me run this now. So as we were discussing in the note, right? All these layers we are passing our data from. There could be some more in these functions based on your business requirement. There could be some more requirements, but this is a well detailed framework that you can use for generating data. So if you see here, generated 23 raw examples, clean data size is 21, 2 examples has been rejected, it seems. Total examples 21, stay failed, data size 21, below minimum of 50, fine. Average instruction length is this one, minimum instruction length is this, output length, past false. So below 50, so it is saying there is an issue. That's fine, not a problem. Gender bias is total mentions 2. Gender bias is total mentions 2. There is race bias. Human interface commands A approve or reject, so it is coming. And you can see all the report it is giving. So this is example 1/5. And I think it is expecting for my input here, A, or because of this Visual Studio setting, it is not okay. On the top it is coming. I'll say A, then it will move to the next one. Next one it has moved. I will again say A, it will move to the next one. I will say I'm accepting everything. Basically, let me reject also. Reject, let's say reject, let's say accept. Okay. Total reviewed 5 approved 4, rejected 1. 1 only I rejected. Second time what I did when test the comment. Approval 80%, common issues, this comment that I gave by mistake. So reviewing 5 randomly selected data points. If run iteratively, results will show approval, rejection. Final clean data saved to final dataset dot JSON-L. So in this file, my final dataset is saved. So my dataset is passing through multiple layers, as you can see. All the layers has multiple functions. All these functions you can tweak and make like what makes sense for your business. But overall, what we saw in this example is, let's revise once. You have to understand what is that you need. You have to prepare a framework that you are going to check what format, what structure, what kind of data, what I will call as good data, how many I need, right? What kind of bias I can tolerate, what kind of bias I cannot, what kind of diversity or balance I need, right? And then you go and acquire the data. Based on that, you write your functions, you write your logics, and you pass it through and you generate. As I told you guys, these are very new concepts, not too many of defined frameworks to do all this. Whatever I'm sharing from my experience. And if you keep giving me good likes and comments, I will keep sharing a lot of things from my experience as well. See you all in the next video, guys. Keep watching LLM for application development playlist. Wherever you are, stay safe and take care.